And we are trying as much as possible to see how we can put up all the facilities that have been destroyed by the insurgency in the state. Seeing what you have done already in the girl-child sector and also in the school enrollment process. We've been partnering with UNICEF too. They are doing well on that. I believe Borno State government will be obliged to work hand in hand with you. We'll give you all the support you needed as a host government to operate in Borno State. And inshallah, we appreciate all the effort that you have been doing to see that the girl-child education is something that we prioritize, especially at the period we are in now.
Amina Saidu, a victim of Boko Haram's brutality, shared the terrifying experiences she had witnessed.
It's very difficult for me when the Boko Haram crisis happened in Goza. They attacked Goza, kidnapped my husband. I don't know, up to now, I don't know where his whereabouts. We flee for our life. We flee to Medjugorje. We came and settled in an IDP camp called Bakassi camp. After some time, we left the camp. I don't know what to eat. My small child has to carry a truck, push water, selling water to feed me and my other children. I met a lady, Sa'a Al-Abdullahi. He works in within the community. He goes to my house, my place. They say they needed children that have not been enrolled in school, children that are not going to school. So that was how they registered my children. They took them to school, and they also gave me money, about 100,000, 150.
The representative of education, above all, from Kenya, conveyed the group's message highlighting the detrimental impact of insurgency on both the physical infrastructure and the overall peace and stability of a nation.
Some of these children are in the most difficult to reach areas. Apart from the usual barriers that we find children having, like lack of access to a school, poverty, geographical issues. In addition, in Nigeria, we have the conflict in the northern states. So most of the work that we are doing currently with the Street Child is in the 3 states of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. And this is where some of the highest number of conflicts have been reported and displacements because of armed groups attacking on children. So the motivation for our partners is to reach these displaced children who have no other alternative. So Education Above All works with partners who are already on the ground and they understand the context. Effort that needs to be undertaken by everybody, from the government, from the civil society, from communities, because the Education for the Protection of Education Against Attack has reported in the last 2 years in Nigeria alone.
Education Above All's visit emphasizes the critical importance of peace in northern Nigeria. By joining forces, the government, NGOs, and the international community can establish a more prosperous future for the children and all inhabitants of the area. Now, the Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Research Institutions has directed its members to commence a nationwide protest on Tuesday. This decision comes after the federal government's unsuccessful attempt to address the union's grievances regarding 4 months of withheld salaries. In a statement jointly signed by SANU National President Comrade Mohammed Aruna Ibrahim and his NASU counterpart Peters Adeyemi in Abuja, the union leadership accused the federal government of failing to demonstrate a convincing commitment to paying withheld salaries and resolving other outstanding grievances of the two new unions. The unions have expressed frustrations over what they perceive as the government's disregard for their financial and welfare concerns, and they have planned a series of industrial actions of a commitment. The federal government yesterday found out what it called irresponsible claims on national security and the Samoa Agreement it signed with the European Union, vowing to seek redress in a court of law against any media organization believed to be publishing misleading stories. It specifically lamented that a media report on recent signing of the EU Pact, which claimed was done to promote lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and queer and LGBTQ and was not factional. Now, describing it as sensational. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris, who said this at the National Press Center, Abuja, not vanguard for promoting such claims.
Falsely accusing the government of signing a deal to promote LGBTQ. We found that despicable and wicked because the allegation is nowhere in the document signed on behalf of the federal government.
Now straight we move on to entertainment news. John Cena, titan in the world of professional wrestling, has set a date for his retirement from the ring. The 16-time WWE champion made the announcement at the Money in the Bank event in Toronto, Canada. Cena revealed that 2025 will be his final year in WWE competition, as he will participate in the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania 41, which will be held in Las Vegas, before stepping away from in-ring competition. The wrestler also appeared sporting merchandise for our John Cena Farewell Tour 2025, acknowledging the current boom in WWE's popularity. Cena reflected on his long career, which began in 2002, as he spoke about challenges faced by wrestlers, particularly during periods of less mainstream attention. Though Cena transitioned to a part-time role in 2018 to pursue a successful film career, has expressed his desire to remain involved with the company beyond his in-ring retirement, particularly with the upcoming movie of Raw to Netflix in January. And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pulse of Africa and Pulse of Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us on Limix and Limix.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Emmanuel Olubobokun, and thanks for watching.
Hello, hope you enjoyed the news. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to hit the notification button so you get notified about fresh news updates.
The 16-time
I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God.
May 29, 2023, President Bola Tinubu assumed office with an announcement that had grave impact on the people. Subsidy is gone. The president exclaimed during his inaugural address at the Eagle Square, Abuja, shortly after he was sworn in as the 16th president of the country. He also promised to lead the country with compassion and amity towards all.
Unfortunately, the budget that I've glimpsed before I assumed office and what I've heard is that no provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone.
Despite the assurance by the president's team that the subsidy removal was not immediate, the announcement sparked reactions across the country. As soon as the decision was made, fuel queues popped up across the country as most filling stations quickly saw an opportunity to profiteer off the situation. As expected, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) announced an upward review of its fuel prices across filling stations in the country, setting the stage for a nationwide increase in fuel prices. Also, at the dawn of this administration, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, abolished the country's multiple exchange rate system and effectively floated the naira. The nation's currency had seen a free fall ever since. Like every other Nigerian, the civil servant is struggling to eke out a livelihood. These decisions by the government couldn't have come at the worst time, when he is struggling with high inflation, unemployment and poverty. Even the rich are not left out.
Honestly speaking, I think in Nigeria right now, anybody that tells you that is not feeling the pain is lying to you. Cost of living is very expensive in the market. All the landlord has added money for their rent. Transportation is not like before. So Nigeria is too hectic.
It doesn't be easy. The high rack of fare, feeding, no matter how, no matter what, we will survive.
In the wake of all of this, experts say the impact of the subsidy removal on the cost of living among Nigerians is expected to be significant and negative, at least in the short term. According to figures by the National Bureau of Statistics, the inflation rate could rise to 30% by December. Professor Christopher Imomolen is a serial entrepreneur. He speaks of how businesses have been impacted negatively.
And would have been done in a way that, despite the fact that subsidy needs to be removed, because we cannot run an economy where a large chunk of our revenue is being used to pay subsidies, and these subsidies has a kind of racketeering that is not even helping the economy. So if we are going to, which we must do, it must be done in a way that it does not largely affect the economy, which we currently see today. Inflation rate is at the highest rate ever. It's also have a ripple effect even in the exchange rate. We see how the exchange FX has shoot up tremendously just in the space of 6 months. We've had a kind of increment that we've not had since 1960. And this has period effects just from one commodity, which the nation is largely dependent on. I believe that before we can totally lift subsidy from the PMS, we must also ensure that we provide power, we provide alternative source of energy for the people. The world today is embracing green economy. It's not something that will happen in the space of 5 years. It will take a lot of time, but we must gradually do that. Everybody has their leadership style. So, but of course, we've seen the ripple effect of that decision on the economy. So we can at this point say that it was not really a good idea that that was announced at that time it was announced. I felt that cabinet should have been drawn up because you need people to help implement policies. Your team, the team should have been on ground. As at that time, there was no ministers, there was no anybody on ground, and just that same day it was announced. It so happened so that all stations were shut down. It was very harsh. And looking at the fact that we are coming out from a very bad situation where Naira was scarce, people could not have access to Naira, and immediately you were going into, at a time when people were looking for hope, where people were seeking to say, okay, maybe this person could be the Messiah to rescue us from. So that it's obvious. So it's not. It's obvious that that decision at that time was not too good to the economy. It should have been done at the time where you would have consulted, and you cannot consult as a president, and you would have gone through your team, and that would have been done through after you have set up at least to a large extent your team inaugurated them. Then immediately you start running.
Mukhtar Mohammed is an international finance and economic analyst. Although he supports the removal of fuel subsidy, he sheds light on how the Naira float and recent policies are affecting the economy.
You just tell them that they pay high duty for bringing in those costs of those goods and services. That will encourage them to begin to think of establishing it here in Nigeria. Instead of you telling them you're banned, they'll find other ways to gain FX. And most of these 41 banned items are items that Nigerians generally want to make use of. So you need to also look at that also. So it all depends on the implementation of this policy.
As it stands, the elimination of fuel subsidy has brought both challenges and opportunities. It has led to a 150 to 200% surge in fuel cost. That is about 500 to 600 naira across the country. That is per litre. food inflation is also skyrocketing.
It's not cheap at all. Though. Many people are suffering. To even get the money to buy food is a problem. And the market also now is very expensive. We are not making it at all. Even you that are selling it, there's no gain on the market these days.
Small and medium-sized enterprises are facing difficulties in accessing affordable power.
Come and tell us, how much did you buy it? How much are you buying it for?
Residents say they cannot afford even alternatives as they are disillusioned by the hack in liquefied petroleum gas, LPG.
We don't really, they should try and help us. The thing is tough, everywhere is hard, but they should, at least gas is what we survive with, we cook with it, so they should try and help us.
So what alternative do you think you will use outside of gas?
Charcoal stove, that's the alternative for me, because here you cannot use firewood inside your house.
The gas 1 kg is 900. So before we are buying it, it's 350. Yeah, so it is our cost now, so I think they should help us to reduce it.
As the debate on the merit and demerit of fuel subsidy removal and Naira float continues, how are ordinary Nigerians finding ways to mitigate the impact of these policies on their daily lives? While some have reduced unnecessary trips, others have adjusted their budget and spending habits.
We had to do away with so many things and just do with basic needs, and that is food, water, go and sleep. No unnecessary outings, nothing, because the pocket will tell you now.
The food matter, now that one was pass. Because before, how much be the week of rice? Not be 120. Now we dey buy at 1,900. 1,900. Just consider the person that get 4 children now. How you want to survive? I beg. Now beg we dey beg them. Make them help us so. This thing too much. Too much. Ororo, ma'am, rice, everything. Wetin happen? Wetin we do them? Make them help us. No smile. Nobody dey smile. As I dey talk to you now, I dey vex. Yo, because it's not even easy. No water, no light. Fuel where we dey even dey manage to buy, we no fit buy am. Everything just dey stand still for this Nigeria.
It's not been easy. In fact, it's only by the mercy of God that people are being sustained now. What you buy today, tomorrow it has added. What you buy this morning, by 2 hours time, the price has skyrocketed. In fact, we don't know who to cry to. We are only at the mercy of God now. Our children cannot feed well. Mothers are going hungry because of the children. Because when it's not enough, you have to feed your children first. We don't know who to cry to. All we are begging is that God should come to our intervention.
Persistent inflationary pressures in the economy have accelerated poverty in the country, with purchasing power continuing to slump over the past few months. As a measure to address these difficulties, the federal government had announced a 5 billion naira palliative for each state, including the Federal Capital Territory, to cushion the impact of the removal of subsidy. The fund was shared in the ratio of 52 to 48%. Experts are voicing out their opinions on the workability.
We spoke about student loan. We said September. Nobody's saying student loan. We talk about CNG. So everything is just like ghost. It's as if nothing is happening. And when people start talking, it's look as if maybe we're against. We're not against government. We must just talk so that this country will grow. We want this government to succeed. And this is what we are saying now. If everybody just keep quiet and everybody's nodding their head, no, you are doing the best, and this country will fail, and every one of us failed. So government needs to start looking at the right thing to do, and the people need to also adjust.
Going forward, here are some suggestions by experts on how to cope with fuel subsidy removal in the country. Reduce dependence on petrol-powered generators. Invest in alternative energy sources like solar panels, inverters or batteries. These can provide electricity and reduce reliance on fuel-powered generators. Use energy-efficient appliances and bulbs to minimize electricity consumption. Adopt energy-saving habits such as turning off lights, fans and electronics when not in use. Use public transportation or carpooling. Utilize public transportation options like buses or trains, which are generally more cost-effective than driving private vehicles. Consider carpooling with colleagues, neighbors or friends who travel similar routes. This helps share fuel costs and reduces traffic congestion. Plan your trips and errands ahead of time. Make a list of places you need to visit and tasks you need to complete. Combining errands into a single trip minimizes fuel usage. Utilize online shopping and delivery services for groceries, food, and other items to reduce the need for physical trips. Adjust your budget and spending habits. Review your income and expenses, identifying areas where you can cut down or save money. Prioritize essential expenses and reduce discretionary spending. Consider taking up a side hustle or exploring additional sources of income to supplement your budget. Minimize air conditioning usage and explore natural ventilation options. Insulate your home to retain heat during cooler months and reduce the need for excessive heating. Make conscious efforts to conserve water and electricity, reducing associated costs. Explore fuel-efficient transportation alternatives. Optimize driving habits by maintaining proper tire pressure, avoid rapid acceleration or braking, and keeping vehicle maintenance up to date. This can improve fuel efficiency. Engage in advocacy and dialogue. Participate in discussions with policymakers, community leaders, and relevant organizations to voice concerns and propose sustainable solutions. Advocate for policies that promote renewable energy sources and support initiatives aimed at reducing reliance on fossil fuels. Avoid long and unnecessary commutes. Optimize your travel routes to minimize distance and time spent on the road. Consider remote work or flexible work arrangements, if possible, to reduce the frequency of commuting. For shorter distances, consider using bicycles as a mode of transportation. Cycling is not only cost-effective, but also promotes physical fitness and reduces carbon emissions. Invest in a sturdy bicycle, proper safety gear and accessories like bike locks and lights to ensure a safe riding experience. Familiarize yourself with bike lanes, paths, and safe routes in your area. And remember to take a walk. Walking will save your life.
Now, the Minister of Finance, coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has stated that Nigeria is committed to implementing a single currency for the Economic Community of West African State ECOWAS. Edun explained that the proposed single currency would foster economic growth and development across the West African region. According to a statement by the Finance Ministry spokesman Mohammed Manga, Edun expressed Nigeria's commitment to the single currency initiative during a virtual high-level committee meeting in Abuja. The meeting brought together key stakeholders, including the Minister of Finance of Cape Verde, the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs of Cote d'Ivoire, and the Ghanaian Minister of Finance, as well as other distinguished representatives. Additionally, the federal government has categorized all electricity companies, including generation and distribution companies, GENCOs and DISCOs, as part of those exempted from paying withholding tax in the country. This information is contained in a new withholding tax regulation document signed by the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun.
The new withholding tax regulation was proposed by the Tax and Fiscal Policy Committee led by Taiwo Oyedele and will take effect from July 1. According to the document, the electricity and gas companies are categorized as manufacturing and production and therefore exempted from the withholding tax. Furthermore, the 2024 Informal Economy Report by MoneyPoint reveals that 51.6% of business owners in Nigeria's informal sector were motivated to start their ventures due to unemployment. Now, the report, based on data from over 2 million businesses in Nigeria, also notes that 35.9% of individuals started businesses because their formal employment was not providing enough income. Now, interestingly, only 2.8% of these businesses were started out of passion and 3.8% were inherited. Join us now on Business Insight as we analyze these topics and more. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Justin Akadonia. All right, just before we get into the conversation proper, a group has emphasized the importance of equipping Nigerians with the necessary skills for the workforce and self-sufficiency in order to decrease the unemployment rate, particularly among young people. This was highlighted during a one-day work skills employability and entrepreneurship program. Details now. The nation's higher educational institutions equip graduates with hard skills while neglecting the development of employability skills, which are core for transitioning into the labor market as well as for workplace productivity. The lack of these skills in graduates keeps them in the pool of the unemployed, no matter their degree of certification. Now, Executive Director, Eagle Foundation, Toluwaṣe Olaniyan, says this project aims to equip participants with the right skill set for employment and also prepare them for the world of entrepreneurship.
A good number of young people are currently not unemployed, they're able. And this is because they lack the basic skills like critical thinking, problem solving, those skills that can help them perform in the labor market. So employers are not getting what they want from them. Unfortunately, they're able to employ them. And after the flag off of this project, we're setting up mentoring and coaching centers across different institutions where students are able to speak to coaches and are able to have continuous career development sessions so that it doesn't just end here.
One of the unique aspects of this training is to provide access to jobs for selected participants and also expose them to the realities of the workplace.
Employability is an important part of our economic growth because when the people of the nation or the society are employed, productivity is increased as a country, and the GDP of the country also thrives on productivity.
A way forward is for people to actually consider a lot of capacity building trainings. The four walls of an academic institution is not going to provide all the kind of knowledge and skills you need. You have to self-develop, self-train yourself through taking part in trainings, capacity building, and the likes.
There are several causes of graduate unemployment in Nigeria, including an inelastic labor market to absorb the turnover. Some of the participants share their thoughts.
Still by skill acquisition, because most of the most companies now, I don't know how to put that in English, they don't really want to employ more because technology is already taking over lots of jobs now.
With the help of writing a good CV, because majority of us, I think the reason why we are not seeing good jobs is because of not you can't write good CVs. So with this program now, so they are teaching us how to write good CVs on how to get good jobs.
Another way to address the challenge of employability, skill-induced employment is to incorporate the learning of these skills in the curriculum of higher education. All right, also coming up on the show today, the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, has extended the registration deadline for all point-of-sale POS operators by an additional 60 days. Originally, the Commission had set a deadline of July 7th for POS operators to complete their registration. However, in a statement released on the social media platform on Sunday, the CAC...
We have you again to talk with on trending stories, especially in the world of football. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. I really appreciate it.
That's, we've been speaking with Coach Ojo. He is the owner of Useful.
And all that has been going on in recent times. Do you think the time is right, and do you think it's what we really need, and just how far can it go in facilitating trade and economic activities in the South region?
I think, Justin, we keep doing the same thing all over again. We think we'll get a different result. I'm surprised that we are going down this route. You mustn't forget that before now we tried to do this same route with the then finance minister also told us about this ecosystem, and then you came with the Anglophone, Francophone issue. I don't think that issues have been resolved. And where is the headquarters of the ECOWAS Bank going to be located? And all those issues are issues that are political, that are affecting the decision to have a single currency. But for me, the most important decision why I think a single currency doesn't work now is how much of business we transact within ourselves in West African sub-region. You look at the data from Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, you see less than 1%, less than maybe 0.1% in terms of business transaction we have within African, I'm not talking about Africa, even within the ECOWAS sub-region with Nigeria. Most of our business are done with the Chinese, with the Europeans, with the Americans. So when you want to have a single currency, it's when you know that your volume of trade within yourself is much. That's when you begin to think of single currency. That's why Europe thought of single currency, because it was not only about the trade, it was also about connectivity. To get a flight from Nigeria to Lomé is even difficult. There's no flight from Nigeria to Lomé. Talking of Nigerian to Cape Verde. So when you are talking about a single currency, how much trade have you been able to do within yourself? Highways, you have that in Nigeria, whereby even from moving from Nigeria to Ghana, you see how bad the roads are, and again, how security agents tend to every country, these people have to come down, go into security clearance and all that. Is that why we want to implement the single currency? I think we should get serious. When we start doing trade within ourselves, we know that it's time for us to implement the single currency. But as it stands, I don't think it's time for us to implement anything that has to do with the single currency. I think it will not see the light. We're just wasting our time. We must learn to do business within ourselves. Then we increase the volume of business within ourselves. Then we begin to say, okay, now it's time to do the single currency, because we know that we want to make trade seamless within ourselves. But for now, I don't think there's any need for that.
All right, you mentioned quite a whole lot of, you talked about the infrastructural issues, even roads connecting these states, these nations in the sub-region. Okay, fine. If the single currency is not what is our problem or what we should be facing in the immediacy, what should we be tackling? Because there has been several talk concerning the AfCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement now. So how do we begin to domesticate all of that in the sub-region so we can actually enhance trade between Ghana, Nigeria, Lomé, and the likes? Because over time, there are always issues with trade facilitation, border closures, and all of that. Just how do we begin to, handle all of the stumbling blocks?
Number one, we need to build infrastructures. And like you said, one important thing, border closure. We closed our borders. And so even up to this moment, the border between Nigeria and Benin is still shut. So I wonder how you're talking about single currency when you cannot even just travel from here to Lomé, to Benin with your Nigerian passport. You have to go through a lot of hassle. Even if you go by air to Ghana, when you land there, the kind of also you have to go through carrying a Nigerian passport before you are allowed. It's also type of things that we need to address. Open to it. Some countries are not open to it. Nigeria is not even fully open to the African Continental Trade Agreement because Nigerian businesses think they are not prepared yet because of the lack of infrastructure, and that means the cost of goods in Nigeria will be more expensive than the cost of goods in Ghana, and so that means will become a dumping ground. A lot of things need to be settled in terms of tariff. Where does the tariff come through? In terms of taxation, where do you pay tax from? So these are issues that not being addressed. So when it's like more or less like you are not even addressing the issues here. You're not talking about the Continental Trade Agreement. African, you are talking about single, like you said, African Continental Trade Agreement. We've not done anything there within African countries. We've not done anything. If you look at airlines that are coming to Nigeria as one of the largest economic hub of West Africa, you just see Kenya Airways, Ethiopia Airways, World Airline in Ghana, and the other ones cannot even do daily flight. And again, how many Nigerian airlines are even flying in some of these countries? So we don't have volume of trade within ourselves. So let's not deceive ourselves. A single currency as it stands is going to be a mirage. So let's forget about that and let's build a relationship. Let's see how we can build infrastructure. We cannot begin to think for a single currency. So for me, I think let's build the infrastructure. Let's see what in terms of tariff, and then let's look at our tax policy holistically and have a single tax policy for the ECOWAS sub-region. Then we can begin to say, okay, it's not cheaper for me to buy an Ankara in Ghana than going to buy it in the UK.
Well, since you've mentioned taxation, I think that's a next port to just slide to. The past few days, there have been recent development concerning the nation's tax policy, specifically withholding tax and those to be exempted. From what we hear right now, GenCos and DISCOs are also categorized as companies that would be exempted from paying or withholding tax. In opinion now, so is this a good news, and just what impact would it actually bring to bear on the power sector in Nigeria?
I think it's a good move for the companies. We need clarity on that. Is it that I will stop paying VAT also when I buy a unit of my own credit too? So that means you have stylishly reduced 10% of my electricity tariff. So I hope the government will give us clarity on that. You can't be giving the GenCos and the DISCOs those facilities at the detriment of our revenue, and the people are still paying their withholding tax, and why they are not paying withholding tax to the government from their own profit. I think that is what they need to come out clear to and give, because a lot of businesses are suffering because of the tax, heavy tax burden. Not only tax, but heavy electrical tariff that they are paying. So if you are giving them 10% withholding tax, they will no more, their company tax will no more be taxed by 10%. Are you telling me also that I'm going to be buying that are also free from that value added tax by buying a unit of electricity? So what it means now, you are making the DISCOs more richer than to the detriment of your people, making them more profitable, and why your people are suffering the burden of it. Because at the end of the day, it's your people that really matters, not about the company. Because if I'm not earning so much and I'm being paid so much, how will I be able to even say the government have done very well? So what we are seeing is a good move for the government towards the DISCOs, so that they can have more funds to expand or to buy more and facilities, especially now that we know that most of their facilities are also obsolete. So I think that is good, but I think again they must also begin to look at how they can also help the Nigerians also for them to enjoy the same benefit. Because just this week, I think early last week, 1st of July, they've hiked their tariff, and after the hike of tariff, they're having a breather in terms of withholding tax. So I think government should also look at the people also.
Let's look at something also very interesting, although still worrying, which is the issue of
unemployment and, of course, informal business. We are aware that Nigeria is home to approximately about 40 million MSMEs, and of course, 90% are in the informal sector. But MoneyPoint released a report not too long ago, and it's saying that Nigerians actually, the bulk of Nigerians recently just got into this informal business as a result of unemployment, not necessarily out of passion. What do you really think? Because let me just read part of what it says. So the largest group, making up to about 43%, is between 25 and 34. This youthful energy offers a tremendous opportunity for socio-economic transformation through innovation, entrepreneurship, job, and wealth creation. Is this a good thing, or how do we see it? Is it ugly, or is it bad as it were now? There's unemployment in the country and people are channeling their effort, especially the young people, into informal business. How do you react to that, Mohammed?
Justin, it's a good venture. It's a good thing.
Right. Okay.
And I mean, you are being creative. You are looking at, look, I can't be waiting for job. Job is not coming. There's something I can do. And like we normally say those days, say when alarm tear you, you will discover your passion. So sometimes, again, a lot of people that are fall into businesses didn't prepare for it. That's the truth. When they are into it, they begin to see how they get themselves into it. Yeah, very few people will tell you that this is the business I wanted to do, and I just started and I got in there. Sometimes it's because of the challenges of life. Like you say again, look at challenges of life will make you discover your talent. So you see a lot of people say, look, I came into comedy because I couldn't find a job. And today they are one of the world renowned in terms of comedians, and they are doing very well. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's not negative. We are not saying that 40% of Nigerians are not having job, and the youth now they are taking to kidnapping, banditry, armed robbery. I think it's good that people are beginning to think inwardly, beginning to think, okay, look, can I be a solution to my own challenge? Can I begin to provide job for myself? For me, it's good. But again, like you said, as they are into those businesses, government should begin to come in and train them, because some of them find themselves in there by condition. Then it's not time for up the game for them. Maybe you have to set up a platform whereby you train SMEs, you come in with policy, you give them free training, you attract them. And like we said in your program, I said in every program that I've appeared, if you attract them, you are giving them something, then it's easier for you to begin to tax them, because you are giving something to them, and so they will be easily want to pay taxes also. So I think they have done their part. It's not left for government to do their part. Provide security for them, and provide good infrastructure for them. Let them strive both in security and infrastructure. Then you can begin to tax them, and it's a good thing. So when your economic is private sector driven, or driven largely by SMEs that are paying tax, that are productive, then you are taking your economy to the next level. That's what happened in That's what happened in China. Today, 90% of Chinese are not employed by government. They are all into one business or the other. So I think it's the right thing. But again, government need to come and help them.
Okay.
And that is why I agree with what Aliko Dangote said during the week. With all these little businesses springing up here, you can't be hiking rates, interest rate at 30%. They're not easy. They cannot easily get fund to scale their business to the next level. Haven't been able to start it with a little amount, and they are thinking of expansion, and they don't have the relevant support from the financial sector through policy from the monetary side and policy from the physical side. I think these Nigerians have done themselves well by going up, but again, they need the support of the government.
Okay, before we leave this particular topic to the last one, let me just read some of the statistics that were highlighted from that informal business report. It said 51.6% went into business because, quote, they said I was unemployed. 35.9% went into the business saying that my job wasn't providing enough. About 5.9% is for other reasons. The why 3.8% inherited the business, and just 2.8 were really passionate for business or to get into business. I want you to comment on that. And also 68.2% state that feeding and family expenses. They stated feeding and family expenses as the primary things they spend their money on. Comments, Mukhtar.
Justin, I would say it's one thing. Necessity is the mother of all invention.
Yeah.
So And I tell people, especially religious folks, when you go, they say it's your month of victory. It's your year of victory. It's your year of this and that. No victory comes without a fight. So challenges are what brings out the best in any human being. Somebody said, if life is a roller coaster, then there will never have been any invention in life. So for me, like I keep saying, I think it's a good thing that challenges are driving you into areas that you never thought you'd be. I don't want to tell you my own story also. Whatever I'm doing today was born out of the challenges I have in paid employment, and then decide to come out of it. I wasn't prepared for it, but once I get into it and I realize that, look, it's something that I can do, then I started upgrading myself, started developing myself in that area. So I think that is what will definitely happen at the end of the day. And sometimes you've seen people that are passionate about their business, they have all the business plan, they say this and this, and at the end of the day, they are not the ones that strive, but those ones that accidentally find themselves in business, they go there with their zeal to succeed. And then they, as they move forward, they begin to add passion into it. And you see them succeed big time. If you ask every businessman, I've been telling you, he will tell you that I was in a particular stage of business, I never thought, but I saw an opportunity in an area, then I get into it. So opportunity here is the key. If you are going into business, did you see an opportunity to provide service? What is business? Business is an opportunity to provide service. And then the value you get from your service is then in turn turns to profit. So I am excited about that. For me, it's a good thing that we are seeing Nigerians saying, look, I am unemployed. Instead of me to think of how I will borrow money from Justin, borrow money from Mukhtar, borrow money from A and B to begin to gather it, to go to the embassy, to go to UK or to go to Canada, I'm now beginning to look inward that, you know what, can I do something here at home? Now, this is a little digression. Look at what is happening in France. So we are beginning to see a shift. And very soon, it will be like what happened during COVID. Everybody to your own tent, solve your own problem yourself. My country is no more a dumping ground for immigration. You cannot come to my country and make a living. You have to stay in your own country. So we should begin to think inwardly now and begin to see what we can do. For me, fantastic data that has come out.
All right, Mukhtar, thanks for all of the inputs that you have provided. I had wanted us to talk about the CAC extension, but for sake of time, we'll look at that on another time. Thank you so much for the inputs that you have brought on the show today. Mukhtar Mohammed is an international finance and economic analyst. Many thanks once again.
Thank you for having me, Justin. Thank you.
All right, that's the size of the show for today. I am Justin Academy. Thanks for being a part of it. Bye for now.
Being online has become a part of our every waking moment. From the moment we wake up in the morning till we hit the pillow at night, we are browsing, scrolling through social media, responding to messages. We live our lives online almost as much as we live it in reality. These anonymous interactions, like any other human interaction, comes with complexity and challenges. People get into civil discussions, debates, banter, and share with one another. With these interactions come disagreements, arguments, conflicts that can soon degenerate into trolling, bullying, and general unpleasantness. The discretion we employ in face-to-face interaction is further decreased online. In fact, according to psychologist Robert Sutton, disrespectful, demeaning, and downright mean-spirited behavior is worse than ever. This behavior is especially true of online discourse, which researchers describe as the online disinhibition effect. Stanford psychology professor John Sula in 2004 said, "The online disinhibition effect can cause people to act out in either a benign manner, wherein they overshare their personal information, or in a toxic manner wherein they become abusive or threatening." "I am in my house, come and beat me" is a common saying online that alludes to the inaccessibility that emboldens even regular people to behave in less than civil ways online. Another factor responsible for this behavior, apart from anonymity and availability, is solipsistic introduction, a situation, according to Dr. Sula, where you don't have any physical cues associated with the person you're communicating with, and other person becomes just a voice in your head. As such, The people in your online conversations merely become characters in your imagination, formed by your own personal history and expectations. You might also hear his or her voice as your own, which makes you feel more comfortable with the other person and further lowers your inhibitions. As we have rules that guide our interactions in real life, unspoken rules need to be developed for our online interactions. Social media etiquette, or social mannerism simply put, means do's and don'ts for social media interactions. These etiquettes are also referred to as netiquettes. The term netiquette refers to all aspects of online communication, including email, instant messaging, social media, multiplayer gaming, and other forms of online communication. The main goal behind netiquette or mannerisms on social media is to treat others with respect and take care of intellectual property rights and associated implications. Personal information, images, or videos of anyone should not be shared without consent or mentioning credits where due. Except we seek to change such behaviors, it will pervade. Here are some social media netiquettes. When sending a DM, be polite and go straight to the point. When responding to posts, even if you disagree, be careful not to use condescending and insultive words. Take a 5-minute pause before you post any comments. Don't comment on topics that people tend to be passionate about. Don't respond to insults or hateful language. Don't say to people online what you won't have the audacity to say to them in person. Avoid excessive tagging of people. Ask before tagging people. Although it may seem inoffensive, tagging a friend or acquaintance on social media without their permission could in many ways cause problems for that person. Good social media etiquette means you should always request for permission before tagging anyone. Post only flattering pictures of other people. Apply the billboard test. Assume that everyone in the world can and will see everything you post. So if it's not billboard worthy, don't post it. Give credit where it's due. Don't post other people's photos or quotes without clear attribution. This means no screen grabs even if you have the best intentions. Instead, use a repost app to properly credit others with your own content. Think of the future you. Your taste will change, as will your sense of humor, but your photos will live on forever. Use caution when posting. Don't take screenshots of other people's private moments that they shared with you in confidence. Censor yourself. You might treat your Facebook or Twitter accounts as diaries. Don't share everything with your readers. Some things are meant to be kept private.
The silent motoring and energy transition revolution that the Nigerian middle class is yet to plug into. I am Bola Oba, and this is Plus Politics. The profound improvements in EVs, that is electric vehicles, with longer-lasting batteries that can now go up to 600 kilometers per charge, the little or no environmental pollution that the ICE, that is internal combustion engines, in conventional vehicles emit, which has made governments in environmentally responsible societies to set dates for the elimination of ICE vehicles on their roads. The increased productivity that EVs, which are smart objects like your smartphones and can be leveraged as Internet of Things
tools by owners to galvanize increased productivity even while they are on the road. Far more importantly, the dramatically falling price of EVs. The average price of EVs sold by BYD, the world's largest EVs manufacturer, in China last year was $12,000. Indeed, there are Nigerian manufacturers that are now advertising tear rubber, quote unquote, that's the newly assembled EV, SUVs, and ILOS type trucks for half of the prices of, say, Japanese or American equivalents. The unfolding EV good news for the Nigerian motoring public does not stop at the competitive pricing level. The Rural Electrification Agency, REA, and the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, have signed the Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, for the establishment of a $150 million lithium-ion battery, the chief component of EVs, manufacturing and processing factory already reportedly putting up its plant in Nasarawa State. The question is, why are the Nigerian car purchasing middle class not enthusiastically ramping up the purchase of EVs with all the enumerated techno-productivity, environmental, pricing, and local lithium battery conferring exchange generation advantages? Joining us virtually to probe into the question is the Director General of National Automotive Design and Development Council, NADDC, Mr. Oluwemimo Joseph Osanipin, and literally live in the studio with me is the President CEO of Saglef Incorporated, a U.S. electric vehicle manufacturing company with a new assembly plant in Imota, Ikorodu Division of Lagos State, Dr. Olugbenga Sam Fale. Gentlemen, welcome to Plus Politics.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. DG, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
It's never too late to say congratulations. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
We wish you all the best in your tenure. We want to believe that you will leave a legacy that will be so profound that the world cannot discountenance. But how would you want to start? What would you want to tell us about electric vehicle technology and the position of NADDC?
Electric vehicle, that is one of the new energy vehicles that is available world over. And globally it's been embraced. Nigeria is not left out. Nigeria is gradually embracing it because that's the future of the mobility. Electric vehicle is the future of mobility, that's certain. And we are already embracing that because of many reasons. Number one, the climate effect of emission. An electric vehicle, especially when it's battery, is zero emission. So it is attractive for anyone and for Nigeria to embrace it. So, and apart from that, maintenance costs. You can see the parts, the engine parts that an IC vehicle we have, they are into thousands. But electric vehicle has only auto traction that power the vehicle. Then with the battery. So the number of parts you have to change at interval regularly are very, very limited. So you can drive the maintenance cost by almost 70%. Reduce it by 70%. So also the fueling part of it. The cost of fuel is going up. And with electric vehicle, when you compare the cost of charging, that is the cost of energy, and the cost of powering ICE through AGO or through PMS, you know that the cost compared to EV is so high. So EV also reduced that one dramatically, and that's enough advantage or enough benefits that will attract motorists to patronize or move to migrate from ICE to EV.
Thank you very much.
We are also embracing that.
I'll come back to you, DG. Doc,
Yes.
you know, would you, you are a medical doctor.
Yes, I am.
And one way or the other, how did your love for electric vehicle, how did it start? Before we even get into what inspired you becoming an industrialist, setting up an electric vehicle assembly plant in Nigeria all the way from the US. Let's give it a human face first.
The short version. Honestly speaking, I was just one of those kids that could never make up their mind whether I wanted to be a doctor or an engineer, honestly. The last day of JAMB, my dad called me and said, you know you have to submit this form today, right? Pick one. So after listening to him, I said, okay, let me pick medicine. But it so happened that after I finished medical school, I went to the US and specialized in internal medicine, also specialized in clinical informatics, which is all the healthcare information technology, in healthcare. And I've always been a big believer in the danger to our planet of climate change. So I've always understood the need for renewables. So me being partly also just an entrepreneurial, guy, I felt that there are avenues in renewables for entrepreneurship. Just that was my segue into tech, and I just basically kept looking into this. I've been involved in the real estate business and other endeavors in the US, and I just felt, along with my partners in Saglev, who actually makes electric vehicles in the US, also a Nigerian like myself, we just got together and said, look, you can make an EV company, I will make an EV company. There's no point doing this separately, we'll do it together, and that's really how Saglev came about. But we thought that it was in the emerging markets where the opportunities are.
I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Let me go back to the DG and I'll come back to you on some very interesting. I really want to know how, when we live in the diaspora, we have a very rustic, very backward perception of Nigeria, many of us, because we cross-feed ourselves some misinformation about Nigeria. I'm sitting there thinking, because I once lived in the diaspora, I'm thinking, okay, how did you then cross that Rubicon of believing that electric vehicle would ultimately be accepted in the Nigerian market? But let me go to the DG for the next step. DG, I just want to know, we know that Ria and Naseni at the last COP28 signed an MOU with a Chinese concern, an international manufacturer entity that is setting up plant now in Nasarawa State. And there is no way that lithium-ion battery could be made in Nigeria that some Nigerian entrepreneurs would not think, oh, about time to harness the inherent opportunities of electric vehicle manufacturing or components manufacturing in some respects. What would be the strategy? I think I have a confession to make here, and the confession, Mr. DG, is that I was one of those in my capacity as a director of a company that consults for the NADDC. I was one of those that wrote the curriculum for electric vehicles. So an average Nigerian watching now may not know that there is a detailed curriculum for electric vehicle, from how to transition the average roadside mechanic to working on electric vehicles, to somebody who is doing a PhD program, say in a formal academic environment. So, but this is not about me. This is about you as the person that wears the authority of the NADDC, intimating the Nigerian public with the opportunity. So I'm sitting there wanting to ask you, how is the NADDC planning to unshake the opportunity of this domestication of one of the major components of electric vehicle manufacturing in Nigeria?
Thank you for the question. Number one, you will know that electric vehicle, the major component in electric vehicle is the battery. In fact, battery accounts for between 40 to 50% of the cost of an electric vehicle. So what that means is, if Nigeria is investing in production of electric vehicle, in production of battery, it literally means that gradually we are investing in manufacturing of electric vehicle in Nigeria, because by producing the battery itself, we have contributed up to 40% of the component. That is contributed about 40% of the component. That means the component, the battery can give us 40% of the total cost of the vehicle, which is local components, increase in our local component. So that is very vital. Producing battery in Nigeria is vital. And again, apart from it increase our local content component, we can be able to drag down the cost of manufacturing a vehicle and an EV vehicle. And if you can do that, it means we can translate that one we can transfer that one to the buyer. That means the cost of acquiring an electric vehicle in Nigeria can also go down. We really appreciate that, and we hope this big investment can start yielding results by producing battery for Nigerians. One, what other thing we are trying to do, just as you mentioned, the curriculum developed, which we call National Occupational Standard. That standard is being critiqued and the validation has been done. By the time we are through with it, it's going to serve as the basis for training Nigerians, the artisans, and different level of training, either the artisan, the fresh graduate, and those people that already have the experience in EV, those people that want to manufacture EV, those people that want to work on EV. So we know that we get to a point where we need to bridge the gap in the knowledge. That is the people that will be working on the EV. And we need them to acquire the basic knowledge or have the basic expertise in handling that. That's why we came up with this NOS, National Occupation Standard, which we have critiqued and which the validation has been done. So this also will help in increasing the awareness, as well as help people to adopt, help citizens to adopt EV usage faster.
Thank you very much, DG. Doc, before I went to DG, I made a remark that I would want you to respond to. You know, the misinformation in our diaspora, technology and social media is now helping to bridge the gap, but about the time that you must have started flirting with electric vehicle, social media was not big then. And for you to have thought that, okay, I want to go into this and I want to take it to Nigeria, you must be a very adventurous visionary.
Well, actually, I have to confess, you know, there's no point. I used to be the typical diaspora that is totally scared of Nigeria. I think counting, I think I've been in the United States now about 32 years or so, something like that. And out of that 32 years, if you add all the days I've spent in Nigeria, there's probably less than 8 weeks, even, well, maybe now 12 weeks total before I started this. So, but again, due to social media, due to just being inquisitive, I participated in trade missions from companies. You know, I just happened to have an interest in entrepreneurship generally. So I came to Nigeria, met with the U.S. consulate, U.S. ambassadors, all those people. They taught us a lot about Nigeria. At that point, I started realizing that, look, the story that you get and the story that is the truth, there's a gap. Yeah, I'm not, you know, I'm just saying that there is a mismatch. But when things happen, it gets blown out of proportion. And yes, there are some problems and there are some concerns. The security issues are there, corruption issue is there. But at the end of the day, look, I was educated here. And I tell people that at the end of the day, when I got to the United States, I had colleagues who were owing $300,000-$400,000.
From medical school?
From medical school. And my own debt was zero. So at the end of the day, as a diaspora person, you can think up, down, left, right, center. You still owe the country something. The country invested in you. Again, the joking part of it is that, look, you're going to eat burger to the point where you can't even stand it anymore. You are going to want swallow. You're going to want all these things.
The emotional persona in you would naturally, at some point, beckon you in the direction of home.
So, but things are changing. People are seeing. And, all my friends are shocked that I'm here. And as a matter of fact, I do live here for the most part. And I do go home maybe 2, 3. In fact, I shouldn't use that word because I go to the United States 2, 3 weeks a time, do meetings, attend to urgent businesses and all that, and then I'm back here for the last 2 years. That's how it's been. So I haven't spent a whole lot of time in the U.S. So this is changing. I see a lot of friends who are saying, wow, I cannot believe you are doing this because you used to be one of the worst. So again...
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you on how your flirtation, and now that has become a lifelong and I hope transgenerational love with EV started. I'll come back to you because I really want to give this a human context and also use the experiences of people like you to hold the Nigerian middle class. The Nigerian middle class is still reticent.
Definitely.
All those ifs and but you were at the very emergence of electric vehicle motoring. You had a kind of experience that an average Nigerian maybe. Let me go back to the DG. The NADDC, I must state, is one of the national treasures that I want to believe has been changed media-wise. I don't suppose many Nigerians even get to know the strategic importance of the NADDC in the quality of the motoring experience they get. Many Nigerians don't know. How do you intend to engage the Nigerian public and let them see, especially the Nigerian motoring public, and let them see the whole gamut of things you do to protect them by the quality and standard of the vehicles you allow to be imported into Nigeria and assembled in Nigeria, the quality and standard of the motoring experience they enjoy that many don't know, that even far beyond Standard Organization of Nigeria, the NADDC, is the first line of quality assurance when it comes to vehicular objects coming into this country. What are your strategies, Mr. DG?
Yes. Thank you for that question because it's something that we know we are addressing it because a lot of Nigerians are not even aware of the existence of the council. And a lot of Nigerians are not aware of what we are doing and what we have achieved. So it's part of what we are doing. We have started some campaign, and in the next few weeks, we notice that we start telling Nigerians what we have been doing, and what we have achieved. So especially in the area of CNG and EV, and generally what our mandates are and what we have achieved in the last few years. So just as you mentioned, apart from tests and standards that we have established, working with Standard Organization of Nigeria, we've done a lot. And even apart from that, we are trying to work on ensuring that the material used for local parts or local components meet the standard before you now process the material to become parts. And for that also, we have started building. We have a material test center in Zaria, and we have component parts test center in Enugu that will soon be commissioned. Also, we have emissions test center in Lagos State University of Science and Technology, Ikorodu. With that one also will soon come to life. So all this we have been doing in order to ensure that the quality of the vehicle that are coming to Nigeria and the quality of vehicle that are on Nigerian road meet international standard. So also to protect, we are doing that also, especially the emissions center, to protect the environment. So all these, we know they are not being known by Nigeria. But again, we are using social media now. We are using electronic media. And then the traditional newspaper, all this, we are going to employ in educating Nigerians or bringing our services to the notice of Nigeria. So we will start that in the next few weeks, and Nigerians will know more about what we have done, what we are doing, and what we are about to do again.
I'll come back to you, Mr. DG, especially in the particular area of human capital development and the inherent opportunities that the council presents to the Nigerian youths, especially in the area of human capital development. I'll come back to you. Doc, we will go, we will soon get to the nitty-gritty of how SAGLEV came into being and why Imota Ikorodu, Nigeria. But I like to always give the human story element to serious, because people can identify in many respects with stories like that. So how did I used the word flirtation initially, but I know you are in love now with, how did it graduate from, okay.
So I want to crave your indulgence to tell you that without the NADDC, I don't want to forget to say this, without the NADDC, SAGLEV would not be here. I think it's important to say that so that people can hear. Without the NADDC, SAGLEV would not be here. So because we did not even know.
In a way, to the NADDC is like also an investment.
1,000%.
Investment conduit.
Yes, because
foreign direct investment conduit to Nigeria.
Not directly the foreign direct, but you see, we have these ideas, and we're in the United States, and we do manufacture cars in the United States, by the way. We have these ideas of what we want to do, but we don't know how to do it. We don't know what the policy is. The NADDC is who has guided us step by step to where we are. They are the ones that have pointed out to us. Now, it's a very interesting story of how we got here. As you know, we started out in Ghana.
Yeah.
And the things that happened in Nigeria fuel-wise started. It was the NADDC that said, okay, you guys...
You have a competitive
you guys,
business environment.
Yeah, because every time they would talk to us, we would tell them, but Nigerians have pretty much free petrol. We don't know that they are ready for EV. It was at that point they literally called us up and said, look, guys, give the excuse again, because that excuse is not valid anymore. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
Very important point.
Yes, very important point to make sure you give.
But ultimately, the removal of subsidy.
Yes, did it. Yes.
And presents the business opportunity that speaks to the fact that now the alternative energy.
Some of that, because you have to understand that while petrol was 50 naira a liter in Nigeria, it was over 850 naira a liter. Today, petrol is 1,340 naira a liter in Ghana. It's even more expensive in Abidjan. So it's not a matter of the business case. Even if petrol was $50, 50 naira a leader, you would still have the benefits of using an EV.
Environmental.
And we can go into talking about all of environmental, the cost of
smart
the ease,
technology.
yes, the ease of repair, the
productivity,
ease of maintenance, and the reduction in the total cost of ownership. You have all these benefits in the EV. But now going to your question, yes, the reason, you see, I can relate to how Nigerians feel now that, oh, there's no charging. You know, Nigeria has been a country that has suffered tremendously under the lack of power. We still are in this conundrum. So anytime you mention anything electric, the first thing in Nigerian is just natural. The human mind tells you, no, it's not possible. But however, every step that I've seen here, I went through it in the United States. To give you a story, a very close friend of mine was the very first person that actually acquired a Tesla. My classmate, we've been classmates actually since primary school.